one reason or another, right? So that's why, I have been lucky enough to do the best I can to choose the clients that I get involved with these days, so that there really is some sort of there, that they're doing something that makes the world better, that makes health better, that addresses mental health, that even elevates, even if it's style or fashion, that there's something in it for someone rather than just the mercenary, capitalistic, give me your dollar bills.
Sit back and relax and get ready for another exclusive episode of the Online Marketing Secrets Podcast with Lopez.
This episode is brought to you by ERC. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a business? If you have a business, you need money. So, did you have a business during the pandemic with 5 or more employees? If so, you might be leaving money on the table. All you got to do is go to my website at lopezlasane.com, and at the top of the website, click the tab that says Get Money Back. And the best part about this, it only takes 10 minutes for you to see if you're qualified for this money. So don't wait. Go to my website, lopezlasane.com, and click on the tab that says Get Money Back, and you're going to get this money for your business, and you can thank me later. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode coming at you from the Online Marketing Secret Podcast. I'm your host, Lopez, so like and share this episode. Yes. So, I would appreciate it if you would leave me a 5-star review in iTunes. Love it or hate it. I want to hear what you have to say. So today you're going to love this show. I have another special guest. She happens to be an award-winning brand creative director. She has a very unique branding approach. She calls it the MVP approach. She's worked for over 20 years with agencies as a consultant, working with big corporate brands, with some of the biggest brands in the world, like Walmart, Yahoo, Google, Blue Bottle Coffee, Tally. She's worked with nonprofits. She worked with museums. She's worked with public figures, politicians. In her previous life, she was a screenwriter. So she has a very extensive, a very unique background in branding and marketing. She's even a copywriter. My special guest, Stacy Thal. Welcome to the show. So where are you from?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I feel like I'm from San Francisco, but I just moved to sunny Sacramento. Like so many other people in the pandemic, I'm part of the mass exodus from San Francisco, for better and for worse, to try to get more space and quiet and sun. So I'm in Northern California, in Sacramento, California.
Oh, that's nice. I haven't been up there yet. Hopefully I'll have a chance to go up there.
Oh yeah, Sacramento Kings.
So how'd you get into marketing, that world?
Yeah, I would say that, I don't know. That wasn't my aim. My aim was to be a film director. But I started that journey back in the day when there were, almost zero beyond films out in the world, whatever, in theater. There weren't a lot of content outlets in those days. I had some success in that. I spent some years gratefully here in Northern California working with Francis Coppola, and the aim was to be a director, but it was a tough business to crack into. for a woman at that time. And I wanted to be able to continue to say that I was, writing and doing creative things for a living. And I discovered that people didn't know how to write their own marketing materials, their own websites and things like that. And so I got into it accidentally through copywriting and leaning on my ability to write, and then melding that with a kind of common sense I had, plus my interest in pop culture and trends and things like that, that gave me a kind of innate ability when it came to marketing. And I put all those things together and created my own business that I did for about a decade before the economy tanked last time in 2008, and just made a go of it. Got into the marketing world, and just based on common sense and an ability, a gift for gab, an ability to figure out the right words to say to the right time to move the right people to action.
So this, you're talking about like the 70s and 80s, right? As far as movies, right?
Not that far back, man. Don't date me that much. No, we're talking about 90, late 90s, early 2000s. Let's say that, early 2000s. So right on the cusp, 1999 is when I started my own business for about a decade.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because a lot of this movies, I mean, you really can't go without marketing. I don't know what you can do without it. I mean, I don't know. Do you know of anything that you can do without marketing? I don't know.
I mean, everything is sort of marketing or branding, right? Everything is nowadays, for sure, especially the way people are so wedded to social media and broadcasting, the sandwich they have for lunch and stuff like that. I think everything is marketing. And, now with all the volatility that we're seeing in our economy, the marketing of self through the form of your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your whatever, interviews, that's all marketing and branding, right? On an individual, I would argue that marketing and branding, hopefully coming from an authentic place, is the same in the dating world, right? It's kind of all marketing.
Yeah. So what it's like working with these big companies? I've always been kind of, fascinated by that. I always thought, man, what it's like working with some of the biggest companies, like in the Bay Area. What's that like?
Yeah. Well, my first, I had this business creating virtual teams, like I said, for about a decade before that was really a thing. And so I was used to working with smaller companies, and I had a whole bunch of different clients, advertising agencies and political figures and arts organizations and small businesses that became larger businesses. But when the economy tanked in 2008, I had done some independent contract work for Walmart.com and Walmart Stores Inc. Walmart, which was the biggest thing at that time. This is 2008, the biggest thing at that time before Amazon was really a thing. But Amazon was all about books, at first. And so I went to work for Walmart Stores Inc. That's, headquartered in Arkansas, but wanted to create a brain trust pulling off of all the smarts that we have in Silicon Valley. And I got tapped for that, which was great port in the storm, where I, gave myself doubled my salary in that time. So that's a good thing about working for a corporation, for sure. And it was a great port in the storm. And it was my first exposure to the corporate life at that level, right? Which was the biggest literally on the planet. And what I will say about that is that my experience with that, and then subsequently Yahoo and subsequently Google, was that even though they're these big behemoths, when it came down to the creative and marketing stuff, it was still run as a really lean startup. So there wasn't tons of dollars and a bunch of staff and things like that. It was always scraping around still for designers and copywriters and the people to do the things that need to get done. So it was still felt like our teams still felt like small and not maybe always fully supported. So we were, acting as like a lean and nimble team. But I would say that, the kind of benefits that they had on that level, on the corporate level, not so much at the time on the, street level, at the retail level, they were in a lot of hot water for how they were treating their employees. But at the corporate level, that was the beginning of being spoiled, having them kick into my 401k and extensive benefits and all sorts of career development type of things. And in my particular position there, I also got to fly back and forth to Bentonville, Arkansas, to the headquarters there, and all that stuff paid for, and cars paid for, and things like that. So while the work on the ground was had to be very lean and scrappy, it had all the trappings around it of all the benefits of working for a big corporation. But I would say that, what the hardest thing for me, and one of the things that informs what I do today, the hard one, how I, gained all these silver hairs of mine, is getting through the approvals process. That's really the rub when it comes to big corporations is, they say they need something, we produce it, we reflect it back to them. Something business-wise may have changed, something organizationally may have changed, the winds of the market may have changed, or somebody may have, be exerting their control or whatever it is. And oftentimes it was the approvals process that was the real learning, we'll call it a learning experience in that atmosphere, because it's so many layers, right, of people that have to sign off if you're doing something that the public is going to see. And a lot of people, there are more and more people, cross-functional stakeholders that have an opinion about those things, and it's hard to bring those together. So I think that's where the proving ground for me, where I started gaining those skills.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest complaints. A lot of people have told me that they move too slow, takes too, and no one wants to make a decision. So you're going back and forth, with different groups of people, and like you said, things could change, or sometimes the people could even change.
Yeah, I think that's, that was the biggest lesson, is that there's so many different teams, and therefore so many different firewalls between you and the real decision makers, right? Because they have some sort of hierarchy of contact for decision making. And yeah, that was a really good lesson, I would say. And then, I'm a true hybrid. So I had my own business, which I do today, again, still, intermittently. And I also worked in-house, like for Walmart and Google and Yahoo and folks like that. But I also had about 5 years at a proper agency where we worked with a lot of corporations, including Google and LinkedIn and Facebook. And yeah, we did run into that a lot, where there wasn't, what they would call internal alignment, or there were changing seas a lot. So a lot of the work that we would get, oftentimes we'd have to change at the 11th hour. I don't think that's anything new anywhere, but particularly true in the corporate environment. There's just more people with more different experiences and opinions.
Yeah. And then some people have said that they felt like they didn't, the big corporate companies they're not flexible enough. You can't, if you're a creative person, it's going to be hard for you to, I guess, give your ideas without being rejected a lot. And a lot of people have said that when they worked for a lot of these big corporate companies, they felt like they were being sabotaged. I said, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I can totally see that, but I think it really depends, right? I mean, especially, I think that was something that one of the silver linings that's come out of this pandemic is that it was exposed what corporations and other businesses really stand for, and whether or not, they care about their people and their audience, right? And how all that comes together, right? It's very complex, formula for working together and having some sort of success and keeping that machine going. So I think it really, it does come down to culture. It does come down to authenticity. Like, where do they stand in their brand strategy? Is it coming from an authentic place where they care about their people, their products or services, and their end user or customer? I think it really depends. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to name names, but I had a great time. I mean, I had a great time at Google. I had a great time at Walmart. I was treated really well. Going to Yahoo was like going to Oz. It was unbelievable. They had like whatever it was, I don't know, 8 restaurants or something on campus. And I felt like I was floating on air the whole time I was there. So I had a great experience in the corporate world. And also oftentimes it was hard to move things through the approvals process. And this is true on the agency level. This is true as me as a consultant. This is true in the corporate level that I've seen, is that oftentimes, the best work that teams do doesn't see the light of day because things change and market pressures change and people change while the creative process, is happening. And things can happen quickly, especially as we've seen in this last year with the economy. So I think it just depends. It depends on the company.
Yeah. So what gave you the confidence to even do marketing in the first place? Because like you said, that wasn't like on your radar, was it something that you saw, or maybe you ran into some of the people that were in that field at the time?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, it was a little bit accidental. Part of it was I needed to have a day job while I was trying to pursue, being a film director, and started then. But I think really it was an epiphany that I realized that I had some secret sauce combination of some innate talents of being able to communicate, again, having some kind of common sense about what works and what doesn't work when it comes to marketing, being saturated and interested in pop culture and cultural trends. And then my ability to write, which is a lot to storytell on behalf of a brand. And then I grew up in an artist household. My dad was a photographer by trade. And my mom was a voracious reader. Still to this day, she reads a book a week. And so my whole life from the beginning of time was always about the marriage of words and images. And so I had some facility in that. And, I went to UC Berkeley and was a financial aid student, had to work my way through school. And from the very first job that I had at a video store, that's how far back I go, at an actual video store, I was asked pretty quickly, based on however I came off, to do the marketing. Like, I was just enlisted to do, hey, Stacy can write stuff. Like, can you do the marketing? And that was kind of my introduction. That we had little, what we would call now activations or pop-up events that we had to do the marketing for this, video store chain that I helped grow while I was in college. And so I think it's something that was innate for me. And I had a facility for it, and I got kind of positive feedback from my experimentation in being allowed to experiment with different ideas, running into some good bosses early on that let me experiment with that stuff. And then I gained the experience, and I was like, damn, people pay people to do this? This is pretty fun.
Yeah. It's things have changed over the years. So you've been around in a time when it was no internet, as far as social media goes, right?
It makes me sound, and then most of all, feel old, but I will say kind of on the cusp that I will say that part of my discovery journey was people don't know how to write. Like people that are business owners, entrepreneurs, small businesses, bigger businesses, don't know how to write. That was my entree point. That was my, entry into this. And they didn't know how to do websites, which were a new thing, where it was like not enough anymore when I started in this to just have a business card. You had to have a web presence. It was antiquated, compared to now, of course, and not too complex, not such a great user journey, not so intuitive and stuff. Really, simplified versions of that. But that was, my entree in there, is that I started creating virtual teams as I grew, my business, to create websites. That was my, first, like maybe print collateral materials as well. But, the entree was I had this facility to be able to do storytelling down the page of, a simple website. And then it grew, obviously, in time to more complex digital experiences.
Yeah. So you think today it's much more difficult in the marketplace versus 20 years ago?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just more, right? I mean, it's everyone. The digital transformation, the digital disruption has been happening for some time now. And it's not, there's so much content everywhere. There's so many TV channels, right? Or whatever it's called now, streaming channels, everything. It's hard to keep track of for everyone. There's so many social media outlets now. And everybody's saturated constantly and bombarded. The main thing for advertisements was whatever, in the newspaper, billboards that you would go by, the radio, and television primarily. And then things started evolving so that you could get rid of channels, or get rid of commercials, right? You didn't have to watch commercials anymore. So then advertisers did an end around, and then social media cropped up. And now we're bombarded constantly, with commercials, where we used to, technology helped us get away from them. Now you can't get away from them. So there's nothing but eyewash out there, and it's really a difficult market in which to stand out, for sure. And that's why, today, I'm grateful that we are coming full circle, where especially Generation Gen Z, Gen A that are coming up have grown up with all of this, and they're so jaded when it comes to, they can see marketing from a mile away, that you really have to, as a business, come from an authentic place these days in order to stand out. Just like a human, right? If you're like, who are you, right? Who are you as a business? Because if you were whatever, I've, worked with some supplement companies or in the wellness space or whatever, and they're all saying the same thing. A.G. Greens looks like whatever, Truvia or whatever the other ones are, they're all looking kind of the same, right? So how do you stand out? Like, what is your messaging? What is your core message and differentiator? And how can you stand out instead of trying to draft off of other businesses? Because there's just so many.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, man, when I first came online, people said stuff like, "You scam artist." I'm like, what? Why am I a scam artist? And this is during the MySpace days. Yeah, this is during those days when, if it wasn't a lot of people online. It wasn't no celebrities like that. It was just average, everyday people and college kids. And when the big brands and the celebrities came online, things drastically changed.
Oh yeah,
it was like a different world.
Yep. Yeah, and it keeps evolving, right? So now the trend for the last few years has been influencers. Like, all the marketing dollars are going into websites and influencers and social media ads that are focused on influencers. And now the whole trend is de-influencers, is unseating influencers and seeing them for the, sponsored ads that they do, that they're no longer coming from this real place of having used these products and trying to turn their followers on to something in sincerity. They're getting the big dollars for that stuff. So now, as always, if you hang around long enough, the pendulum swings back and forth. So now influencers is becoming a sort of dirty word. And how do we crack the code now on the de-influencers? So, but yeah, you said scam artist. I get that about marketing, is that it is trying to ultimately, what we're trying to do as marketers is separate you from your money for one reason or another, right? So that's why, I have been lucky enough to do the best I can to choose the clients that I get involved with these days, so that there really is some sort of there, that they're doing something that makes the world better, that makes health better, that addresses mental health, that even elevates, even if it's style or fashion, that there's something in it for someone rather than just the mercenary, capitalistic, give me your dollar bills, y'all,
Yeah, things drastically change, because even some of the books that I've had back then, I still have today, and people back then said, "Oh, you read those types of books." But today they're like, "Oh, that's a good book." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So
yeah, I just saw that. So like everything old is new again. I just saw that somebody wrote a post about a branding. I'm really focused on brand strategy these days and trying to help founders and business owners and investors hone in on their foundational brand strategy so that they are coming from an authentic place, whether they're launching something or pivoting or something. And I just, getting all this content myself, looking on LinkedIn, I saw a couple different posts in the last week of people resurfacing books that were popular in the 90s that still, are the ultimate when it comes to branding and marketing.
That's good.
Going back to basics,
Yeah. So you like the internet. You embrace it and all the new technology and everything.
God, I just love it so much. I was a kid who would call up as a kid, a curious person. I would call up before the internet, the library lady, the library desk, the information desk at the library, and get them to look things up for me. Coming from a household where we couldn't afford all the encyclopedias and stuff. And if I had a report for school or I just had a curiosity in life, I would call up in those days the library and get them to help me find some information. So for me to be able to have, in my pocket, to have a powerful computer in my pocket that is a conduit for answers and dispute resolution and inspiration and relief and connection is a great boon, and I am, my husband calls ChatGPT my new boyfriend. I am all over generative AI. I am terrified of, like so many people rightly, of the implications of what it's going to do to different job markets and maybe our health and safety on this planet. In the meantime, as I keep an eye on those things and try to courageously stay within the conversation and be informed about that, I'm on ChatGPT all day long, solving problems, having a thought partner, helping me with the work that I do, helping me create and grow my business.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really know where things are going to go, I mean, all we have is the moment, no one could really
all we have is the moment. But the EU, right, the European Union just came down real heavy on AI and is going to do an enormous amount of regulation on that because they can see they're concerned about the implications of the future of it. So I can't imagine that we're going to do that in the US of A, given our focus on all things capitalist, but we shall see.
Exactly. So, a lot of people that were taught me years ago, they retired. They hated the internet. They they said, hey, you can have this. I'm out of here. they literally, the guy that taught me marketing, he retired. He shut his business down, and he cashed out everything, and he's just chilling. But he was the older guy when I met him anyway. So he was he when I met him, he was 47.
Yeah.
So now he's like 70, what, six, late 60s now.
Yeah.
So he hates the internet. He he just never embraced it, didn't want anything to do with it. So that's why I asked you if you like it. A lot of people don't.
Yeah, I think I come into the world as an innately curious person. And again, I grew up in a household, like an artistic household. And so it was always about exploring and understanding and experimenting and daydreaming. And so, the internet is a great conduit for all those things. And I would say, my vision of my retirement, part of what I do, I feel is like I have a service mindset. I work with a lot of startups, whatever the ubiquitous stat is, it's hard to believe, but it sounds as though all the reputable sources say 90% of startups fail within the first 5 years. And through all the work that I've done in this last couple of decades here, what I've been able to suss out is that skipping over this part of, this foundational brand strategy work that I do, rooted in some authenticity around mission, vision, and values and value propositions, figuring out who your target audience is and all that stuff, that it's like a service, and so I can imagine myself doing this work in retirement down the line, ongoing, in order to try to help worthy businesses and smart entrepreneurs defy the odds, of that kind of failure rate.
Yeah. So who's your ideal prospect? Who do you usually work with?
Yeah, well, for me, part of the joy of what I do is being industry agnostic. I have a couple places, of course, where I am a conscientious objector that I don't want to get into, that are aligned with whatever my philosophy and how I move through the world and my politics and things like that. And that's part of what I bring to my clients, is having worked in fintech and tech and software and hardware and wellness and lifestyle and fitness and government and stuff like that, that I get this exposure to enormous amount of smart people in a lot of different spaces, and then can pull all that information, all that experience in for whoever my next client is. And 95% of that stuff is transferable. 5% is specific to market, right? Is specific to the fit of whatever the product or service or whatever it is. So I am excited these days to work with angel investors and VCs and PEs to do everything I can to help them protect and grow their portfolios that they've invested in of brands that they're trying to launch and help get out into the world. I love working with CEOs and founders of different companies, different types of startups. And my partnership with CMOs, with chief marketing officers, have been really productive over time, because they're always asked to wear a lot of hats, and I can take a lot of the burden off of them being a brand strategist so they can focus on the marketing plans.
So are you doing any speaking engagements these days?
Speaking to you. I'm speaking to you right now. Not really speaking engagements, but I have been on, a few different podcasts, and I got a good case. I'm a pretty good presenter, but I got a good case of performance anxiety. Not my favorite to get up in front of a group of people, but I'm thinking about it. Especially, I'd love to get to know my I was pretty steeped in San Francisco. And since I moved to Sacramento, I'd love to get more involved in the local community here and helping businesses grow here.
So if people want to work with you, where would they go to?
Yeah, you can check me out on my website. It's my name, so you can see it down there. It's stacythal.com and then /MVP. That's for minimum viable product. It's a system that I've created over years of experience of getting in there surgically really quickly to establish your foundational brand strategy so that you can start testing, learning, and iterating, which is what it's all about, to make sure that your messaging, your brand storytelling really resonates with your audience. So you can hit me up there, stacythal.com/MVP.
There you have it. Like, share this episode. Tell me what you think. All links will be found in the show notes. Until next time, we're out. Peace.